Hey team, welcome to Inside the Movie Photographer with Jasin Boland. Today, I've got my buddy, Merie Weismiller Wallace. Now, Marie's worked on some of the biggest films that you're ever going to see. River Runs Through It, Carriage Under Fire, Titanic, one of my favorites, The Thin Red Line, Mystic River, $1 Million Baby, Tropic Thunder, which is just an absolute classic, Joy, and of course, Lady Bird. She has collaborated with some of the biggest filmmakers in Hollywood, including Clint Eastwood, James Cameron, Alexander Payne, Kathryn Bigelow, Sam Raimi, and Terrence Malick. She's got the most amazing photography that you're going to see, and she's educated, unlike me. So I'm going to bring in Merie right now, and we're going to have a chat about all things photography.
Lovely.
Hey, Merie.
Hey, how are you, Jasin? I'm glad to see
doing?
you. Good to see you.
I know, right? It's like that's I've been waiting to have this little chat with you.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Hey, I was gonna leave it to the end, but I'm gonna tell you a story now.
Ready.
Okay. So when I was a young photographer or younger photographer doing movies of the week and TV, there was a little film called Titanic that came out. Now, it had a long run too. It was like 9 months or something here in Australia. And I just did not want to go and see it. It's like everyone's like, oh, you got to go and see Titanic. It's like, no, not my film, not nothing that I want to see. So it had 1 week left to run. And I went and saw it. And from that point, I decided that I didn't want to do movies of the week and television anymore. I wanted to work on the biggest Hollywood productions I could ever work on. So much so to the point that I used to use your photos as my screensavers to inspire me. So there you go.
Yes. Okay. So I'm going to tell you, I mean, first of all, that's fantastic because I admire your work so much and had no idea that back then that you knew that I existed. So that's a totally cool story for me. But just a little synchronicity. So I saw Titanic for the first time when it came out in the theaters in Australia, because it came out in Australia the day before it came out in America because of the time change. And my husband and I were in far north Queensland, and we went down to Cairns in order to be able to watch it. And I saw Titanic on opening night in Australia. Because I was working on The Thin Red Line.
Oh, yeah, of course. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's no way. That's really trippy. That makes the story even better.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love the yeah, anyway.
That blows me away. And, we're going to talk a lot about the SMPSP and being part of the exhibition committee and stuff like that, what you guys are doing, which is really amazing. And, just some industry inside stuff for any up and comers, because that's what we're here to mentor. But most importantly, we've got a whole heap of fantastic images that I can't wait to hear the stories behind.
Awesome.
So what do you reckon? Should we hook straight into it and then we'll just have
a
chat while we're looking at photos?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, cool. All right. I love this. I love a great BTS. I got to say, this is a classic. Come on, spill the beans.
Okay, so here's the situation. It's not actually a BTS because it's blue screen. And so it was while we were shooting, and I was able to get where the crane arm was. I was up on a ladder, right, near where the camera was. And these actors, God bless them, were so comfortable with my being there. They didn't care where I was. And so I just got right up in their grill in the most polite and deferential way, really just loving their work, and being there to witness it and capture it. And so this was in the middle of shooting. And later when I would share pictures like this, they would just be like, they loved that shots like this existed. And it's so refreshing because there are people who feel it's uncomfortable to have this still camera shooting at them, or who don't really, I don't know, they don't have a feeling for it. So when you're working with actors that actually love stills, it's even more inspiring.
It's real special, isn't it, being able to watch an actor's performance? I call it the director's performance. It's like live theatre, which no one will ever get to see.
Okay, so I want to say two things really quickly. One, that's what working on Tropic Thunder was like. So I hope we get to talk about that later. It was literally like live theater in the jungle one summer. It was just amazing. But anyway, the thing I want to say about this, a lot of unit photographers don't like to shoot blue screen. And if they have a whole shoot that's all blue screen or all green screen, they're like, oh man. But for whatever reason, which I don't know, I don't mind at all. I mean, sure, we can say like, oh, how many of my pictures are actually going to get out if there's just a blue screen? But I think of it like, I don't know, like a seamless. And the studio can put the backdrops in just as they're going to comp it together when they're making the movie. And when I see a blue screen, for example, this was supposed to take place all up in Alaska, and I saw Alaska behind them. I mean, I was in Alaska, and so it's like the creative process, and I just did not mind working against blue screen because of these fantastic subjects I had in front of me. This was from Call of the Wild, and again, this was one of 20th Century Fox's last pictures before, they joined Disney, but it had kind of a Disney feel to it. So it was Call of the Wild, but not like this, gritty, old time movie. It was like today's Call of the Wild set in the past.
Yeah, I like it. And what you said there is right on the money. I tell exactly the same story about how many photographers walk away from blue or green screen days, but I get 90% of my posters from it. And it's like, hey, green screen day.
Yeah.
Happy days. It's like, I'm not walking away from that.
Right. Perfect. Exactly.
It's a classic. It's so true. And, you just don't know where a great photo is going to come from, do you? You got to be there. That's right. I want to work for him.
He is astonishing. He is astonishing. But let me say, there's two things about him, three things about him that are astonishing. One, he's so amazingly creative that it's just gorgeous to be around. Second of all, he is understated, speaks directly and to the point, not too many words, and he expects your best. And everybody around him is completely dialed into peak performance. It's just the mode you're in. That being said, he both knows what he wants and he loves the spontaneity of take one. So you have to be on your toes because chances are take one is it. And so everybody is just sort of like poised, and he's amazingly efficient, and he will finish his day, before lunch, a couple hours after lunch, because he knows exactly what he wants and exactly how to get it, and he is willing to take the chance of that sort of crazy magic of take one. Another director who has a really similar way of working is Alexander Payne. So I hope we get to speak a little bit about some of his movies. But the same thing, just clear, knows what he wants, gets it in his early takes, everybody's ready, and he doesn't beat a dead horse. He's not watching for some nuance that, on take 37, he's forgotten what the nuances on take, 14 were. So anyway, working with Clint, it was amazing. And I was lucky I got to do 5 pictures with him. Wow. And it was like a run of 5 in a row that was just a huge joy in my life, my profession.
I really love this photograph. There's so much to look around at. I've got a big screen behind my camera, so if I keep looking up,
okay,
that's because of that. So there's where is this?
That's in Iceland, and believe me, did I want to go to Iceland. One of my favorite things about this job is that I have gone to places and seen things that I would never have had the opportunity. And I don't just mean, fancy places. I have been in crazy slums where I was worried about the mosquitoes biting me because whose blood had they been sucking before, whatever, drug abuse or anything. And, but we were in Iceland making flags of our fathers, and this was the black sand beaches, and that whole movie was desaturated, and so I shot in color because that's what the studio wanted, but no image was allowed to be released that had not been desaturated in the same way that the director of photography and Clint worked out that the feature would be. And that's why the tone, the color tone in this. And he was just up on a dune and he was telling everybody, like, this is what I see. This is what we're going to do. And everybody is completely dialed in. Like, what does the boss want?
It really is. He is the boss, isn't he? It's like, it's being a director is a bit like being God with a budget, right?
Yeah, a creative God with a budget. Yep.
Hey, has this been any of our exhibitions, the SMPSP ones for the book? I love this photograph.
Well, thank you for saying so. I'm not sure, but as co-chair of the exhibition committee with the fabulous Nicholl Good, I will keep that in mind, and I will see if I can't get it into something.
Yeah, I got to have you and Nicola on just to talk about. We could do it and actually have the exhibition photos from Photoville, New York, or something, and actually have you guys talk through it.
Well, that would be fantastic. And the truth of the matter is, we have a really stunning exhibit up right now at the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. The Pickford division. Yeah. Which is their Center for Motion Picture Studies. And we've got some really, really gorgeous pictures there. So depending on what time of year it is, whether we go to the Photoville, New York shots, or we go to the Academy shots, or both. My
Charlize Theron one from Mad Max is in both of those, I think. Oh, God, I love a great portrait. Again, this is just an awesome actor character shot. And
thank you.
It's, oh, come on, tell me.
My whole career, I worked features, and that's what I wanted to do. But there was a window of time when I really needed to be in Los Angeles. And so I just said, okay, I could be a snob, but it's right also at the same time that television just started getting super interesting. And I was like, game on. And so I felt, in fact, super, super honored to be able to work on Goliath. And Billy Bob is just a pro and a half, and just so much character. And this was, while we were shooting, I was near the camera, and, his character hears a sound or, whatever, and just turns, and the power in that man's performance. One of the things I say, Jason, about our job that I love is that we have front row seats. And so, like, my job is to just sit and just watch the nuances in an actor's expression in a moment, and just see the moment. And, the motion picture camera, let's say maybe there was all lights all around him from that angle, and I can't stand exactly at that angle, so I'm off to the side, and so I have to make it work. And so I just find this balance in my composition while I am just dialed into the performance. And it takes a little while to get those chops up where you're both composing and, waiting for the emotional beats, but it's the joy of our job.
But we're never really where the camera's set, so we have to find that light ourselves, the same as that it's outside. I mean, we're lucky that, the DP is king, but those little bits of light, those little pockets that they aren't able to use, we can. And really, it's really fun going on the hunt for that, isn't it? And
it is.
It's just.
I've had another thing happen where a DP has said, oh my gosh, I'm so jealous of you guys. You guys always have the great angles. I always have to shoot like flat on, but you guys always get these like amazing angles. And I was like, yeah, we're hunting. We're doing our best.
I know, right? And then being able to use all their gear as foreground, like, you know, the lights on Prestons and dollies and stuff like that, just to add a little bit of something to it. It's yeah, it's really it's an absolute joy, this job. And you know, it's nice to be able to show moments like this to people that, you know, they don't get to see them otherwise.
That's right. So this shot is from HBO Insecure, and this is Issa Rae, and oh my gosh, she is just so amazing because she's phenomenally professional, and her crew, like, you almost wouldn't know that she is absolutely in charge because she has surrounded herself with people she believes in. She has empowered them to do their best work, and then she just does her best work. And so, but she has, you can see by this, just the shine in her eyes, she's just got this inner light, and she is funny. Oh my gosh. So anyway, just a pleasure to work with, and yeah, just really a great experience. And again, feeling so fortunate that coming from features and really only believing in features, having the opportunity to work on some super good streaming projects, television, and feeling the quality, you know.
She, you can see she's got a big heart with those eyes and that smile, can't you?
Yeah.
So, totally. Hey, yeah, I mean, the streamers are really fun. I've done a few Netflixes lately, and I really love working for them. It's like, you know, we're lucky enough to get given a lot of leeway anyway with the way that we shoot. But I'm finding that Netflix was like that. I wasn't, you know, all the streamers are though. It's just wonderful to have so many more opportunities around now than just feature films, and you know, I mean, they're attracting a lot of great filmmakers, and it doesn't. Who was I read the other day? It doesn't matter. They're saying, hey, I don't care what screen you see it on, as long as you see it. You know, there's sound things which I know that people are concerned about, but you know, I think it's great.
Well, I do too, and as you said, they're attracting incredible filmmakers, and so again, yeah, you feel like you're on a feature because you're with feature professionals, and a lot of times they're working like it's a mini feature. So yeah, it's a new day. It's a new day.
Yeah, and a lot of the films that are being made, like, you know, like Roma, they wouldn't get on the big screen, and you know, that's denying cinema goers beautiful films and filmmaking. And you know, I think that, you know, at the end of the day, I think that it's the film going public that, you know, it's for them.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Amazing. I love these. I love a lot. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So David O. Russell directing Joy. I mean, I don't even have to say anything. He is so intense and so passionate, but absolutely, you know, dialed into everybody doing great work.
Yeah.
Completely supportive of his crew, but also not micromanaging them at all. Like, just expectation of excellence, because he's in the zone. He's really a director's actor, and yeah, just really an intense person. And when I found that I had caught this moment, I just was overjoyed, because it's the sort of thing, Jason, as you know. So right now he's talking to our actors. So it's Robert De Niro, it's, you know, Jennifer Lawrence. I could be looking over at them, but I look around. I've got, you know, when I don't have the blimp up to my face blocking my peripheral vision, I'm assessing everything at all times. And I watched him walk into that light and just, whoa, had to be there.
Yeah. When you said intense too, the second that you said that was on my brain. it's an intense shot, and to pull these moments up is quite the skill. And when you think back to it, it's like people have their favorite films and stuff like that, and you remember still images. The still images are embedded in your brain from movies and posters and that, and it's wonderful to think. I've had this conversation before, and what my thoughts are that although we are pretty anonymous, no one knows our names, we are probably the most published photographers on the planet. I mean, as a collective.
That's right. Well, and for sure as a collective, yes. But even true, just as somebody with a good long career, I've been doing this 30 years now. This is what I do. This is what I love. I was so fortunate to find something that I love. And it really is true that a lot of the public, the very first glimpses that they see of a movie comes from the unit still photographer. And if the unit still photographer is dialed into what the director is doing, what the actors are giving, what is wanted, then the stills that come out of them are as powerful as those moments in the movie. And that is what we do best. We say, see what is in store for you if you come to our movie. And that's why, like you said, that a lot of times people will have a still in their mind when they think of the movie. It's the poster. But that poster came out of a performance, and there was a unit still photographer watching that performance going like, bingo, wow, this person is amazing, and I get it, and I'm here. So it's a phenomenal blessing of our job, and a really unique thing that even though it's a movie in the theaters, it's our stills that say, oh my gosh, you've got to come see this.
Yeah, it's so true. And, I want to go, looking at this photograph now, I want to go and see this movie. It's like, I want to know what it's about. There's two completely different actors there putting out two completely different emotions, and you've just nailed it. And it's like, I want to know. I want to see that scene. I want to know what's going on.
So this particular image, that is our director, David O. Russell, and Jennifer Lawrence. And we were doing the scene in the jailhouse, and David said, Mary, come here. And he staged this shot. So again, it was all lit. It was all there. It was just this stolen moment. But again, showing how when you're working with real pros who respect everybody's job, he saw a moment for a still. And he said, let's get this. And it's just a brilliant, brilliant moment. And Jennifer, again, completely in the moment, not saying, oh, I don't have time for this. It's like, no, this moment happened. We caught it and we moved on. We don't belabor it. We don't have time to, make a movie about it. It's a still, we get it, and off we go.
It's just wonderful when you have a director that wants to collaborate with the still photographer, though, isn't it? It's to be made part of it. Yeah. It means you can't run off and go and hide somewhere for a minute, though.
Yeah, well, those days are over. When there was time for film, I could say that I had to go, download my camera in the dark or something. But now, boy, they keep moving because of the digital age, and I keep moving, and I'm just wearing everything at once. Nothing can be too far away because I need it.
Yeah. Talking of cameras, what's that little baby you've got sitting on the bench behind you?
Oh, yes. So I shoot now with a Sony A9, but I was always Canon. Loved Canon. I know you're Nikon. Nikon's, of course, amazing. But I was Canon, loved it. And when Sony and Fuji came out with their mirrorless cameras, and I found out that I could take the soundproof blimp away from my face and I could regain my peripheral vision, I took the leap. And then I found that there were other technological advancements that changed my life. And so, yeah, I shoot Sony. I shoot the Sony A9, which is their flagship, top of the line. Amazing for stunt work, tracking focus. I can really, really stay in the moment. Great with low light. A joy of a piece of equipment.
Yeah, the mirrorless really, I was saying, what did I do? I had a thing the other night that I was on, and we're talking about the mirrorless, and it's the camera that the unit still photographer has waited their entire career for. And we're so lucky. I mean, like, we've come from film, digital, and now mirrorless. It's like, you know, it's pretty trippy to think that we've been through every single carnation of a still photographer in our, what do you mean? You a little bit longer than me, but we've both been doing around 30 years, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, I agree with you 100%. And the other thing is that on the one hand, I'm techie, and on the other hand, I'm not techie at all. I mean, I really am about the moment. I'm not about technology. And so going, first of all, mastering film and light and which film stock and the whole thing, getting my stride with that. And then having to go to digital, I mean, major panic. And, but just saying like, I have to make myself do this. This isn't coming naturally. I'm not like, oh my gosh, I'm so techie, I can't wait to shoot digital. I'm like, oh my God, can I run and hide from this? No, Mary, you can't. Get out there now. So can I tell a really quick story about how I went digital?
Hey, we've got all day for you, mate. Go for it.
Well, so I was working on Sideways, and I got a loaner of a digital camera, and I had that outside of the blimp. So I was wearing two cameras. So I had my film camera in the blimp and my digital camera outside. And so for, rehearsals and behind the scenes and everything where I really needed the absolute immediacy, like I don't have time to change an f-stop. I don't have anything, grab that shot. I was using the digital. But when it came to actually rolling, of course, I had to be in the soundproof box so that they didn't hear me rolling. So everything that was that the film camera saw, I shot with film. Well, at the end of the day, the one outside the camera, outside the blimp, was this raging comedy. I mean, just so many pictures of people laughing so hard, and the director laughing, the actors just losing it, and just all these beautiful spontaneous moments. And all the pictures on film were like, absolutely playing it straight. We were making an outrageous comedy, but everybody played it 100% straight. And I looked at it and I was like, wow, this is amazing. But the digital stood up. Like it was, I felt as confident with the digital as I did with film. So the next movie I did after that was $1 Million Baby. And I went to Diane Sponsler, the head of the photo stills department at Warner Brothers at the time. And I said, think about doing this digital. And she's like, we just don't have the track record. And I said, okay, fine. I'm going to do this thing where I shoot film and digital, interchangeably. And you watch my work come in. And at the end, at any given point, if you feel like you're game to go digital, I'm game to go digital. And so 3 weeks in, she was watching it and she was like, yeah, I think we can do this. And I said, bingo, got my credit card, got into debt, bought my cameras, and have been digital ever since $1 Million Baby.
Were Canon your first digital cameras?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. There you go.
Yeah, I went from Canon film to Canon digital and loved them.
Yeah. Do you still have your Canons?
I do. I had them all out for a while, and they take up a lot of room. So I've kind of picked, I've put together sort of the most beat up ones that, like, for example, wow, I have my film cameras that shot Titanic. They've got so much patina, it's like that was a long movie. And so I just kind of have them out in my life, and once in a while I'll shoot with them. But professionally, I just really, the digital is what's happening. It's giving me the freedom that I can do. Periodically, I'll shoot a little bit of film on a feature if I feel like I've got the luxury and the time. But the speed that I can hit a bullseye with my digital kit now, it's the way I like to go.
Yeah. Yeah, I still I'm on the Nikon Z system, as you probably know, but I still use my blimps. I love them.
Oh, really?
I like a heavy camera for action sometimes, and I've been testing the new D6 for Nikon as well, and that fits straight into my blimp, so there's nothing to worry about. I was really jealous of you guys for a long time though, because I was seeing everyone having the mirrorless, and it was something which I had to wait for, and I've only been mirrorless, for 90% of my work for the last year and a bit, since Mulan. I got my first mirrorless on Mulan. So there you go.
Yeah. Awesome. The thing is that the mirrorless is completely, as you know, completely silent. And there were times in my blimp where I would be on a soundstage in a super intense scene, and I'd either be too near the camera operator and they'd go like, "Merie, I'm hearing you," or I'd feel like the actor was hearing, whoosh, whoosh, and break out in a sweat during a take. And so the thing with the mirrorless is 100% silent. I can be in the quietest sound stage where the actors are whispering and the sound man has his mic turned up and is hearing, everything. And I'm silent and I'm there and I'm working and I'm getting shots I never could have gotten with my blimp. So
even with the mechanical shutter too, I don't know what it's like with the Sony, but with the Nikon, I'm shooting the mechanical shutter with the noise in a lot more. It seems like it's just a decibel that isn't highly recognizable or something. And if there's just a little bit of noise, I'll shoot with it. We really only had Jacobson for many years, and Mark and his dad just did a wonderful job of opening a set for still photographers.
That's right.
And then I got involved with Aquatech, and we did all these tests between the two blimps, and there wasn't a great deal of difference, but the one thing was that they both would knock out something like 97 or 98% of the sound. So, which I found very interesting, because it means that 2% of the sound is very noisy.
Interesting. So, the technical aspect of what part of the mechanism you're actually hearing. Yeah. Yeah.
So it would knock out 98% of the sound, but 2%. So and for actors could hear it, I could hear it. You'd wheel off the shutter and you'd hear a little flutter. Yeah. And I was with you. It's like, I just used to do it over dialogue, to tell you the truth. And no one could hear it.
Bury it where you can bury it.
Yeah.
And
yeah, good point.
Sometimes the dialogue is enough to actually cover it, and sometimes you just are praying that they will not have to loop it because they heard you. And of course, so the sound people, like I've just got my eye on the boom man. I'm like this, like one eye on the camera and one eye on the boom man. And he's like, yeah, you're okay, man. You're okay. I'm like, okay, here I go.
You shoot with both eyes open too, do you?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. I do too. I always thought it was because of my PJ days, but I think it's just being aware of your environment. We've got to keep both eyes open, right?
Well, that's right, because you never know if a lion or a tiger is going to come behind and you're going to have to start running, or a director or a sound man or a producer. But no, actually, I went to USC Film School. I got my master's there, Master of Fine Arts, creative masters. And so we were taking cinematography because they don't teach stills. And they were saying to the people learning cinematography, learn how to shoot with both eyes open, because you really need to be able to watch everything that is going around while you're watching what you're shooting. And it doesn't mean that you leave both eyes open all the time, but you have to be able to work with both eyes open. And I remember going, oh, okay, I need to learn how to do that. So I trained myself to be able to shoot with both eyes open, and I largely do. And again, that was something the blimp blocked the open eye to a large extent. Also because some of us are right-eyed and some of us are left-eyed. So
what are you?
If you're one eye or the other, it's what part of the box is in front of what part of your face. So anyway.
Are you right or left eye?
I'm such a nerd. I am left eye.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm a righty. There you go. That's funny. Hey, what's happening here? I love this shot. It's very cool. It's got a lot going on. Again, it's like we talk about it a lot. There's a couple of actors there, but there's also a lot of background extras, and background extras, I feel, can quite often make a film or at least a scene. They do a great job, don't they?
There's no question. There is no question. And I'm going to say two things about extras in a second. But so this is Lady Bird, and this is the moment where she's in, Catholic school, and she is, being the good girl and showing up and doing what's expected of her and what's required of her. But she's starting to find that her horizons are broadening. And and so she's just, she's present, and really soon she's going to start thinking for herself, because she's a teenager and she's growing. I want to say two really quick stories about extras. One, part of the reason we went to Australia for The Thin Red Line, I'll never forget this, was that Terrence Malick was so tired of the fact that all Americans have so much dental work that you go to get these extras in Hollywood and their teeth are perfect. But back in World War II, that would not have been the case. And he wanted it to be super, super authentic. And so when we went to Australia, part of the casting call was, we are not looking at people who have had extensive dental work. We actually want people, who just have the mouths that we're given. Because they can be too perfect in Los Angeles. That being said, the extras in Los Angeles are such pros. I mean, you don't wait on them. They get it. They are completely dialed in, and they are an entire force. And some of them are physically, in cars, synchronized drivers. And when you have a good extra casting director, oh my gosh, it's vital. Another quick story on Titanic. Our production designer said, he said, we have to give them real silver and real china. And, we have to make it authentic, because when they sit down, if they're eating with plastic that looks like silver or whatever, they feel it. But if they are sitting down and they're wearing the beautiful clothing that wardrobe has made for them, and they're eating with silver and they're taking care, they become that person, because that's their job. And so he insisted, Peter Lamont, he insisted everything he gave the extras was as authentic as they could possibly manage.
Hey, when we get to Titanic 2, I've got a couple of backup questions on that.
All right.
I can still see some images in my head, so just remind me. Just go, hey, Jason, remember? Okay. But yeah, Lady Bird, love it. Oh, see, you make me speechless with your work, actually, because there's just this way that you make something front and center, and then everything else just drips away. And this is a classic example of that. Anyway, talk me through it.
Okay, so this is Midsommar, and I was not able to shoot the whole feature. I had conflicts on either side, and I was really trying hard to help them find somebody to replace me that could do the whole thing. And I said, look, if you can't get somebody, and you're still looking for the right person, let me know, and I'll just come in for those 2 weeks, as you're looking. And they're like, really, you would come for 2 weeks? I'm like, oh yeah, I really want to do this feature. I just can't. And so they're like, please come for 2 weeks. And so I got to go to Budapest and shoot for 2 weeks, and just had the most amazing time, because it's just such a creepy story. Sorry, but powerful. Really well done, well performed. In this particular shot, we had a dolly that was moving along one wall and then across and up another. So it was like, sort of basically like a soft L. And I could only be in one place and stay out of its way and be behind it as it made that one curve. So I was there, and again, like, oh my God, I'm in the eye line for X amount of time. Is this not going to work? The eye line being where you're front and center, and the actor cannot look past you because you're there. And generally speaking, bad protocol. We do not go in their eye lines. We respect their eye lines because they are making the world real, and they deserve that clear line sight. But again, there was no place else I could be. It was either like you're outside, at craft service, or for this one little bit, you're in her eye line. So I hope that I cleared it with her, or else just that we were comfortable enough with each other by then that I was like, I'm going to try this. At any rate, she was phenomenal, because she just, as she was looking at pictures on the wall, which were, foretelling of the frightening things to come in the movie. And so she just clocked them, and she was clocking them. And when she came to my camera, she clocked me and just kept going. And
so she used you for the eyeline. That's great.
She allowed me, or, whatever. But anyway, yeah. So just in this moment, and of course it just had a great power in it for me. And I love an asymmetrical frame when I can get one. And so I knew that if I center weighted my focus off to one side, I had, watched the rehearsals. I knew who was going to be where when. And so I just thought, if I can not center weight my focus, but if I can take it off to one side, then, when the camera comes to me, this is what I saw happening in rehearsal, and I hope I can get it. And I got it.
It says a lot about you in the way that you work, though. I mean, like, you got the trust of the filmmakers. They really want you to go over there for 2 weeks, and then your relationship with the actor. It's, the still photographer's job really is a bunch of relationships, isn't it?
It really is. It really, really is. I think the thing that has worked best for me in terms of relationships, is trying to just stay authentic. And, of course, the more experience we have, the easier it is, because we're not starstruck. We're not too worried about the technical aspect, and so we can just be present. But we have to be gauges, who's sensitive, who's had a bad day, who's normally really good but just is going up on their lines, who what's going on, what's happening around us. That, again, that second eye open for when the sound man's going to come running. Anyway, so just being really, really authentic allows other people who value that to see it in you, and then you get to work with people for whom that's a priority, and you're working with kindred spirits, and it's a good thing.
A lot of our job is knowing what to walk away from, as opposed to what to stand in the way of, so to speak, and pick your battles. Because if you're seen to leave something to someone having a difficult time or troubles, or just long dialogue, then when they do see you come in 3 or 4 days later, they know that you're there because you need it, right? That's
right. They learn to trust you and to gauge you. And yeah, and it's great to anticipate. Sometimes they have to say, like, gosh, I'm sorry, just not this sequence. But I felt more of that earlier in my career. I feel that to some extent I'm able to anticipate that, and and read them and leave them to what they need. Actors, again, even the director, just like gauge the scene. And when you're respectful of other people, they're respectful of you, and you get your best work done.
Yeah, we've been around for 30 years for a reason, and especially with the younger actors too, I find that they respect that. They hear what you've done, and they're kind of like, no way, because a lot of them were brought up on the films that, that you and I and the rest of our colleagues worked on. I mean, they study those films.
Yeah.
Look at this. Come on, this is just beautiful. I love your framing on this, and the colors too. It's just like, what was this from?
This is also Midsommar.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and this was fantastic. Again, I am so appreciative of the crews that I get to work with. I really, really appreciate them. The grip department, they had this whole thing going on, but I just said, look, guys, if you can give me the tallest ladder you own, and you can put me in a place where I'm not in your crane dolly grip, I'm not in your way, but you can line me up, right dead center on that yellow room. I'd super appreciate it. And absolutely, up they came. And again, we were in Hungary, so a lot of us didn't speak the same language, but I got to climb up on this, and then pick a wide lens, but also not too wide, because I wanted the telephoto feeling of being able to have that arm go into depth right in front of me. And I shot the scene from there. So I, shot wide, shot tight, but I also got this behind the scenes, which, thank you for enjoying it. I like it too.
Oh, I think it's just rad. And I'm finding too that the audience now are almost more interested in our behind the scenes images than what they are of our general publicity. It's kind of trippy, and I refer to my BTS now as my landscapes, my on-set landscapes.
Yeah.
But what do you reckon? Well,
I mean, people are fascinated with our industry and how movies are made, and they want to know. And now with all the streaming media, and there's so many, the internet, and there's so many places to tell our story as still photographers. And so there might have been a time when there was not as much venue to tell the story of how the movie was made, but now I think the audience know that these stills exist, and they want more and more. And so I've really been getting great support of make sure that you show us how it was made. Well, nobody has to tell me that, because I'm so on that, because I love it so much. I love the filmmaking process. I love watching people do their work, and so at any rate, I think the behind the scenes shots are more, we have more of an audience now than ever, and more of a way to share as well, which is just great.
That's key, actually. At times I thought that they didn't want to lose the movie magic, but more importantly, I think that you're right, that it has evolved because of the sheer amount of content that's needed to give so many exclusives, and, online, and, trade mags, there's, visual effects magazines, there's, American cinematographer magazines, there's, it's endless, isn't it?
The online component has really brought yet another realm, and people are really thirsty for it.
Yeah, totally. It's it's making the unit still photographer more relevant than what they've ever been, I think, and I think that's the key with the good ones, is what you're saying. You love filmmaking, and it's no point in being on a film set as a photographer if you don't love every single part of filmmaking and appreciate what the thousands of people that work on that single film put into it.
Well, and that's a key word, Jasin, appreciate, because we, like, we really do appreciate what goes into amazing wardrobe. We appreciate what goes into the lighting, you know? And so to watch people weave their magic, and to get these sort of dynamic shots with strange light because they're working on it or anything, but to show the process, it's just, for me, it's an invaluable aspect of our jobs. And the other thing I just want to touch on really quickly. So Jason, you know it's true. We create these amazing bodies of work. By the end of a show, whether it is a series with a bunch of episodes or it's a feature film, we have a body of work that shows what happened. And I'm going to say something to you. So Titanic was shot on film. They were not as encouraging with doing behind the scenes. They wanted some, but not so much. If today we had every frame that I shot, because it was 6 months, if we had every frame, I think photo editors and archivists, and the public would just be going absolutely crazy to see how did they make Titanic. But back then, I think that like all they were about were, sort of Kate and Leo and Jim Cameron. Do you know what I mean? And so I really feel that there's a ton of work from some of my old movies that just will never see the light of day because they weren't recognized for their value. The body of work wasn't recognized. But I think now more and more with the archival departments at the studios, they're realizing, take the whole thing, take it, preserve it, because there is timeless statements of how a movie was made, and you never know what is going to become just the sweetheart of the moviegoer.
A big film that I worked on a long time ago, I got a phone call to find some images for just recently, which of course I don't have, because they can't find the images.
Yeah.
And they're archived and they have no idea what box, what warehouse, and it's a shame. I love this black and white. Is this digi or film?
It's digital. Yeah.
Wow, it looks great.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. Same thing with this was, as Flags of Our Fathers. In Flags of Our Fathers, everything was desaturated. In this, it's a modern day black and white director, Alexander Payne. And so he was really clear, nothing is to be released that is not black and white. And nothing is to be released that isn't timed the way the movie is timed. And the photo department was super on board with that. Excited, willing. And so we just shot, I shot, and then, they held and they played with some options. And then they all went and saw the film, how it had been timed and tweaked. And the stuff that they released really looked like a frame out of the movie in the best way.
Did you do the post on this and Flags? Did you do the coloring on your
I did not do the post because, again, like I was off on some other movie. It was, life went on. And that's the thing with our jobs is we shoot and we turn it over. So it's, it's my job to say, look, Fade and Papa Michael, Alexander Payne, they are serious. We cannot release an image without it looking like the movie. But then I have to trust. And luckily, when you're working with a good team, a good studio, they're on it.
Yeah, I got to say, I love what they do. It's when I see a poster that comes out, people a lot of the time ask, "Oh, did you do that post? Did you do the design?" It's like, no, I didn't do the design. All I know how to do is take photos. It's like I cannot do the rest of the stuff. And with the architect, and then when you see what they've done with the poster, the marketing department, it just blows me away, and it makes me so happy. 99.9% of the time they nail it, and they find these obscure images that we've felt was a great image, and then they find it and it ends up on the one sheet, and it's like, you guys really do your job. And there is some, the studios are fantastic the way that they go through. I'd hate to think how many times they go over every single frame, but it's quite amazing what they're given and then what they produce.
That's right. And a lot of work. And if they've got multiple films going at one time, I mean, they do have multiple photo editors, who get projects, but even, a lot of times they'll have several features at once. And like, my mind boggles looking at the amount of shots I take in a day. I mean, I take, depending on how fast the filmmakers are working, how many stunts there are, I shoot between, 800 and 1,500 images a day. Again, depending on how fast they go. But the photo editors, they're back there and they're having to keep track of us and tag their favorites and create, the greater key set and the, second key set and narrow it down. And a lot of people think of us as our press kit, but with a good photo editor, then they've really got like everything. And like you said, they offer out exclusives and some really interesting work gets out, which is, of course, what we want.
I'd love to be a photo editor, to tell you the truth. As much as I love being on set, like adore being on set, I'd almost be happy to go one for one, It's really cool. I love looking at other people's photographs and think, I don't even think how would I shoot it. I just appreciate a great frame.
So then let me say, Jasin, sharing that, I love being on the exhibition committee of the Society of Motion Picture Still Photographers, because we have such an amazing collection of photographers. Oh my gosh, I get so excited. And I know it's funny, when I first started out, I felt like some competition of like, oh, people weren't really comfortable with my coming up or whatever. But as soon as like I was in the SMPSP, I was like, no competition, you guys are incredible. And so I just like, I just say, oh my God, I love that shot, so-and-so, I love that shot. And, is there anything more like that? And so, Nicholl and I were just trying to just like, come on, guys, send us more, so that we get to see all these phenomenal pictures and then, work with whoever's putting up the show. So, for example, when we're working with the Academy, we really defer to the people there that we work with, Matt Severinsen, and we want his taste, we want his eye, but we're right there saying like, check this one out. You got to see this. Love sharing the work of our photographers.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mutual appreciation society. It's kind of everyone that's got to a level of being skillful and comfortable with their work. And I have to agree. I love draft week. And I mean, you were president for like 3 years or something, right? And you've been on the board for many, many years.
Yeah, Jasin. So I was president of the Society of Motion Picture Still Photographers for 5 years overall, once when I first joined, and then 4 years in a row. The first two, I was co-president, with, again, the fabulous Nicholl Good. And it was really a wonderful team. And we worked really hard just to kind of really empower the society and to get us out and get exhibitions and get people looking and get people talking and bring us forward. And that was really our goal, was to really sort of bring us up into the sight of the studios, of the archives. And then the last two by myself, but still, working with a great board of which you are a vital member. And draft week scares the heck out of me. I love that other people love it. And I'm just like, oh my God, how, I'm sort of like, I want to include everybody, but I also want to keep it people who are ready to join.
Yep.
So some people, they'll get there soon, but they're not quite there yet, and trying to have that balance of completely respecting them, but also respecting the excellence in them to the point of saying like, okay, come again. try again. You're almost there. But no, petrifies me.
But that's the key though too, right? Is that just because you don't make it in the first time, it doesn't mean you should give up, because it might only be one tiny little aspect. And I remember when I got in, because Frankie said, yeah, you should be in the Society of Motion Picture Still Photographers, Tiger. And it was like, and I was really nervous. It was such an honor. And I spent a month doing my application. And, you know, Hopper and I have talked about it a lot, that as much as the amazing photography is part of it, it's also your moral turpitude, and that one little question, your reason for wanting. And it's such a small little piece on the application that I think some people overlook it a little bit, thinking that we don't really care because it didn't take up much space on the page.
Yeah, that's right. That's a super good point, because the reason that we're in this is to support each other and to promote to promote excellence in our career, and to give back and to support. And there's a lot of people who look at it as prestigious and feel a need for that. And I totally get that. I respect it 100%. But we're not in it for it to make us look good. We're in it to make it and each other look good. And I didn't get in the first year that I applied.
Really?
No, I didn't get in the first time. But I just, luckily the people, I had support, and, you know, with my little crushed ego and, you know, like, oh, what did I do wrong? They're like, no, just do you again.
That's so true. What you're just saying there, that you can take it one of two ways, can't you? You can take a knockback, and I've actually seen this a couple of times. You can take a knockback and start just hating everything, or you can sit there and listen to the advice and make yourself a better photographer. Mm-hmm. And we all need incentive, and success only comes through failure. And I think that, you know, having a little bit of a bump on the head every now and again is healthy for us.
Right. And that is actually true in life, that when we've got a challenge, we can turn around and hate on it. Or we can go, oh, does that suck? Yup. What am I going to do about it? What are my options? Going forward and going big.
Yeah, going big. Yeah, don't want to feel like that again. Let's make sure I learn from that lesson. Yeah. Hey, this is an extraordinary image. It's so beautiful. And it's just, you know, it's the same thing with your frames. It's just all these peripheral, all these, you know, you've got the main subject, and as I said before, it just drifts away. And it's, I just, you know, I can look at your images forever. I try not to look at them before we have our little chat. I flick through them quickly, but I don't study them, mm-hmm. because I like to do it when I'm talking to you so that you can explain what's going on. And it's just awesome. That's
so cool. So I love this picture, and I love this picture because the actors were time travelers. And the actors were not acting. The actors were living that world. It's from the movie The New World, directed by Terrence Malick. And Koryanka was, God, I want to say she was 14, but if she wasn't 14, she was 16. Anyway, early teens. Koryanka was in her early teens. And Colin was so focused on supporting her as a new actress and in the, you know, the risk taking of the role, because he's such a pro and he's so good at his job that he acts from the heart. And so he really could just connect on what, you know, what her character was going through. And you would say it was almost like, you know, sort of like, you know, a tragedy of method actors, except for that, you know, the tragedy was the story, and the method acting was just the belief in the project. And behind them the extras who were playing Indian warriors were in fact American Indians from all across America, and the extras casting people did casting calls for young men, and these young men were of like so many different, authentically coming from different tribes, but they were playing one tribe, which is an unusual situation. So for them to join together and say, we're playing a tribe that we're not, I don't come from that tribe, but I'm playing a young warrior from that tribe. And again, they just completely were so into it. So this shot just has all the heat and dynamics of the reality of this young, beautiful woman saving the life of a man who's about to just be slaughtered, and throwing her own body down to stop her people from violence and hate, because she saw something in him. She saw his soul, his character, and that soul and character is what Colin Farrell was giving. So he gave her something that she could work with. Just again, when you're working with the pros, just such powerful work.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm stuck now on the whole First Nations thing coming together as one, and how wonderful an experience that would have been, and the stories that they would have been, because us as photographers, we can just go off and talk to everyone. Yeah. And the stories that on set, they're just wonderful, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. And learning about people, like taking the time to ask questions and say, like, tell me about that. Tell me about you. And, you'll see like maybe, a couple guys hanging out, and on the film set, somebody like me can just walk up to three young men, just say, hey, what are you guys up to? What are we doing? Or, what's happening? And we're all part of a team. Whereas if I'm out on the street, I don't walk up to strangers and say that. But these people are maybe people that I see every day, but I hadn't had a chance to say hello to. So I can walk up and say, hey, I've seen you. You look great. You look great. My name's Merie. How are you? And so, yeah, on set, we get exposed to things we never could have seen any other way. It's been a major joy in my life.
Oh, so that photograph got a story. Oh my gosh.
Okay, so the story here.
I wish everyone had a big screen behind me to look at this. Okay, so the story here.
Okay, so the story here is that Koryanka had so much heart and soul that everything you see in that picture, she was just exuding, just it filled the room. And the DP, just pumped in the smoke, and the light was coming from one side. And again, I'm actually trying to visualize, probably the motion picture camera was on her fill side, and she was probably strictly like more rim lit, but I had to find where I could be. And there was just this moment where she turned in sorrow down towards me, and it was just this perfect moment. And I was huddled in the dirt, because the set was a set from the past, and very authentic. So I'm huddled down in the dirt in the dark with near the motion picture camera and the focus puller, and cramped up with the boom person, and just saw this most exquisite moment.
It's an extraordinary photograph. Oh my gosh, it's just everything, just a little bit of foreground, and I'm like you, I love smoke bleeding through an image. Just a little bit of adds, just it colors everything, and of course it brings it up about half a stop, which we always love.
That can be really helpful, but it can sabotage you too. Boy, that's something, again, with experience, you can start to work with it. Otherwise, it's like, oh my God, I was preset in my blimp for this other stop. And then when the smoke was really hot, that was the best performance, and the worst, whatever.
How good is it though now with the mirrorless of having that live EVF where you can just change everything on the fly? It's,
the angels are singing right now as you say that. That is one of the technological advancements that has just changed our life. We can be on the fly and we can see what we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, and even, get into the menu system without pulling your eye away. You can make all these changes in the middle of a take, which I don't think people appreciate that. We used to have to set for one little moment, exactly what you're saying about, the smoke can change everything.
Mm-hmm.
But now we can change ISOs, focus modes, the exposure, obviously. But just to have everything at your fingertips now without being a distraction is just amazing.
It certainly is. And we can move slowly and subtly and just make all the changes we need.
Yeah. Yeah. It's there's still no holy grail out there though. Damn it. I'm waiting for someone to bring out the holy grail that just does everything that I want it to do, but
little by
I'm
little.
Still waiting. Mary, there's so much going on in this shot. It's like it's epic. What film is this from?
Okay, so this is from Oz the Great and Powerful. And that is the Yellow Brick Road. And if you've ever been starstruck to work with somebody like that you just admire so much, we were starstruck to work with the Yellow Brick Road. It is such an iconic film entity, and to actually be able to walk on the Yellow Brick Road yourself. And everybody wanted their picture taken on the Yellow Brick Road. I'm telling you that. But so this picture was, again, in a sea of blue screen on a soundstage, huge soundstage outside of Detroit, an area that had been all automotive, and they were trying to find, where to go from here in a pause in the automotive history. And so this was a big soundstage, blue everywhere, like 360 blue. And then the art department would come in and build a set. We had 8 stages going simultaneously, where they're either tearing down, starting to build, we've shot part of, and so we would just rotate around all these stages. So this was on the Yellow Brick Road when one of the flying monkeys is they're on their way, and they've got the wizard and China Girl, and so on the one side of the frame, it's the filmmakers and all the flags and the crane and the lights and, the dolly track and, us all putting it together. And on the other side is the fantasy, is Oz. And again, this is one of these situations where I just didn't have any trouble shooting it at all, because I saw Oz. And the production designer and the wardrobe and the makeup and hair, they brought Oz. So sure, there was some blue there, but we were in Oz for 5 months.
But it's also fun too when we go and see the film and see what the VisFX team and that have been able to make this magic, and the director has created this incredible world.
Yeah.
Hey, so were you in the gantry to shoot this?
Yeah. Up in the perms.
Oh, that's cool. And it's like, just looking at, with you saying, the filmmakers and the Yellow Brick Road and then the fantasy world, it's kind of a bit of a yin and yang BTS shot. It's I can see that totally. Oh my God, it's so cool. Oh, here we go. See, now that was perfect.
Yeah.
Go from there. Now we get into the magic.
That's right. The Wicked, Wicked Witch and Glinda the Good and Oz, and again, some fabulous extras, since that's one of our themes in this conversation. But yeah, you're down, you're either up above watching how we make the movie, or you're down in the moment with the performances.
Yeah, this is a great shot. I mean, like, the studio must have been like, oh yeah. It's like, the job is to get the one image that tells the story for the whole scene, the whole film, just in a single frame, which is the name of one of our books, right?
Yeah, that's right. A single frame. That's right.
And it's very, very special image. It's wonderful storytelling, Mary.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
It was really for you as a little girl. Did it bring you a little bit of that out?
Yes, except the thing that was so incredible, it's a little bit hard to explain, but it was a different twist on the story. So it was like we were seeing sort of a different side of them. And so I don't know, the witches were just, the dynamics of their characters were fascinating. And it's like I got to go to Oz. I got to be there. And I guess what I'm trying to say is it wasn't just the little girl. Sure, the little girl was like, whoa, this is amazing. I'm sorry, the woman was amazed. Like, I'm in Oz. This is amazing.
It's funny because I'm just thinking back to what you're saying about everyone wanted their photograph on the yellow brick road. It's like, I can just imagine. It's like, everyone would want that photograph.
That's right.
That's a great shot. Great shot. Spidey. Oh, I love your shutter speed in this with the fluid sand. Oh my gosh.
Thank you. Thank you. Again, just a super, super cool moment, not minding the green screen at all, knowing that they could use it for what they wanted. So the sand is the character, the Sandman, but he's in the incarnation of the sand. And Spidey is going like, wait a minute, this sand is alive. There's something else going on here. And so he's like looking at this going, oh. And of course it's the arch villain, the Sandman. So just a great moment.
Well, no, which actually makes even more sense now with the slow shutter speed and the movement of the sand, because it's making the sand look alive. So that's very cool.
Thank you.
Oh, I love the stories behind the photographs, because it just takes you deep into it, and for a film fan like myself, I just love an amazing film still. And we've talked about this a lot with other people. Do you sit there when you go to a movie and you look for the still frames that you would have shot?
I do, but I have to tell you, it also happens in my life. The other day I went next door and my neighbors were waiting for me, and the guy was sitting down and the wife just sat on her husband's knee, and they both had these brims, and I was having the most horrible time trying to follow their conversation, because in my mind I was going chink, 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 chink. I was just like, because it looked just stunning, but I was trying not to be a geek and trying to listen to what they had to say to me.
Oh my God. Yeah. We live life through a lens, don't we?
Well, that's actually one of the things that I started realizing, was that I had so much joy of living through the lens that I would go places and I would shoot them instead of being there. And so I have made a very conscious effort sometimes to leave my camera behind and to go and live, and to go and actually participate and be in the moment. And what happens, half the time is I just pull out my phone. I was like, well, I just got to shoot this.
Yeah, and you're like, damn it, should have brought my camera.
I'm trying to leave it behind, but
this is great. I love this. It's same thing, your wonderful ability of storytelling and capturing that frame that the studios need to get it out there. And was this one of like Empire's first release or anything like that? Because it's a great frame.
I don't even know if this frame has ever even been out.
Wow.
Our favorite shots half the time are never seen. I try to keep track and see what of my stuff they're using. But literally this one, I do not know. But yeah, it tells it all. It tells it all. I mean, it's Peter Parker, and he's got the mug shot of the Sandman, and he's having an aha moment, and behind him is his grandmother and the commissioner. It's all there.
Yeah, it certainly is. Oh, he's great. I love him as Spidey too. He's really cool.
Yeah, I do too.
He does a great job. Oh, takes us back.
So, okay. So it just makes me happy just seeing it. All right.
Yeah.
This is the movie, as I said, that was half on film and half on digital. And we just laughed so much during this movie. And this was a real tasting room, a real winery. The man offering the tasting, he does it every day. So we got a real guy, and in came our actors, and that sort of snobby, I'll teach you how. Oh, and funny story, there's the Sandman, but that's before he was the Sandman. Same actor.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah. Thomas Hayden Church. Yeah, he went after this, he did Sandman.
Oh, wow, no.
Sorry, he did Spidey.
Yeah. Do you, when you look back at these images, like, it's kind of fun going through them, not just for me, but I know it is for you as well. But does it bring up memories? Like for me, I can tell you a story from every day. Well, sorry, I'll say it again. So for me, every time I see one of my photographs, I can tell you a story that happened that day, whether it's just, something with a person, or whether it's actually the actor, or whether it's to get that frame. Is it the same with you, that it sort of jogs your memory a little bit and takes you back?
Absolutely. Which is why I said, I told you the story that this is a real tasting room, and this, the man in the picture, that's what he does for a living, because I remember him very well, and he was a great guy. And, when the actors moved on, then we all, got to do a little tasting. He gave us, a tasting at the end of the day, and we all bought some bottles. There's a story with every picture. And the thing is, like, okay, I loved working on this movie, and some movies are so hard, Jason, as you know. I mean, sometimes we say, like, I did not like working on that movie. That was a hard movie, not just physically hard. That's okay. Sometimes they are, socially hard, politically hard. But this particular movie, I have two favorite movies that I worked on in my career. It's this and Titanic. And Titanic was hard. But this one, looking at this picture, I could walk into that frame and hug those men. I just this picture is my friend. Those people are my friends.
I think he just came up with the title of our new SMPSP book, actually. Every picture has a story.
I think you just came up with that.
No, you said it. I just thought it after you said it. That was really good.
Okay.
Well,
you're on the board. You can pitch it.
Oh yeah, but I just do the social stuff. I love the board. It's so much fun. I'd be on it forever. But it's hard work you guys put into it. It really blows me away, the effort, and I see it a lot more now with Hopper, because I talk to him a lot more about things. But then when he comes out, when everyone that's been working on something comes out with it, it's like it's months of work. It's a lot of dedication.
Yeah. He's
just a wonderful man, right?
Oh yes. Oh yes. And so, I mean, again, just so professional. This was a marvelous, marvelous movie to work on. Just all the heart and soul in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, very cool. Yeah, very cool. Oh, Look at that.
Okay,
That's
so
the key, isn't it?
that's the magic of Terrence Malick. The magic of Terrence Malick is moments that really, I don't know how to explain it, but they're moments out of real life that bloom and occur because of the way that he directs and the way he speaks to everybody. So that picture of Koryanka and Colin Farrell, where we were all there. That was actually happening. Like, those moments were actually happening. This moment was actually happening. And Terrence will just let things go, and the actors become the character. And it's not this studied method, like, oh, don't distract me. There's something that's out of the period piece happening. No, they're in their world. They are in that moment. And the beauty of that, between, a woman and her son, and an actress and a little actor, this boy being so honest and being willing to be in that moment. And again, those clothes, the set dressing, it allowed them to really be there.
As a father, this image fills my heart, I must tell you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Made me think of my son while he's at school today.
Lovely.
Another one. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, what I love about them is just they really are these sort of random moments of life. But it's that second where he picks up his eyes and they make eye contact. And that's the second I'm waiting for. And I'm watching, and I'm just watching, and I'm waiting, and I'm waiting. And he turns here, and he turns there, and he does this. And then he looks up, and he's in the middle of this one thought. And there's just that moment. And yet it looks like it's the moment that in your own life you might have missed. It's just a fractional moment. Like, you might have noticed when he stood up. But this moment is just, it's like the texture, the fabric of life.
Are you an artist in any other areas? I mean, is it just photography?
Yeah, it's just photography. I do consider myself a creative, but this is my medium.
It's very weird that there's so many photographers, I sort of say successful photographers, but that's the wrong word. So many photographers that is pretty much all they do, like on-set photographers, and that's almost all they have. Like, I can't draw or sculpt or do absolutely anything. I don't have an artistic bone in my body, but I can take an okay photograph. It's really kind of weird. We've sort of stopped.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is such a creative expression. It's odd because it's like, I think people think it must be easy to walk onto a set where the most amazing cinematographers have already lit it to perfection, and incredible wardrobe artists have know exactly where the wrinkles are and the wrinkles aren't, and so everything is there. And I think people think they could just walk in and, like, oh, anybody could do that. Such a hard job that we have. When we do it well, we make it look easy.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, yes. I don't know the stuff that you've had to go through that day. I use it actually when I'm having a tough shoot or a tough day or whatever. I try not to make it affect me personally. I try and make it affect the photography that I'm making, and it's kind of like just like pushing it out, getting rid of it, and bringing it back in. Yeah, I know, right? So, how old were you when you started photography? I mean, did you have a camera from when you were a youngster?
I did and I did not. What it was somebody gave me a camera as a gift. And I was, again, not a techie, so it took me a little while, and I didn't have somebody teaching me how to use it, so I was learning by my mistakes. And on film, it's a fascinating process, because by the time you get the role developed, you're like, what did I do back then? I mean, if you're not taking notes, you're lucky if you remember. But the truth of it is that I went on a feature film. So I had a camera. I went on a feature film that was so photogenic that I was just suffocating not to shoot. I just like what I saw was just killing me. I was in Borneo, Malaysia, and I was not the unit photographer. I was doing production support on second unit. And I went to the unit still photographer and I said, you've got to get out here to second unit. You cannot imagine what is happening out here in Borneo on second unit. And he's like, I can't leave main unit. It was a Nick Nolte movie. Nick Nolte, Nigel Havers, directed by John Milius. He said, I can't go to second unit. You do it. I'm like, okay, I'll do it. So I got my little camera and I was like just doing my job, and I was supporting production by shooting some stills because I saw how amazing it was. And when I got my first work back, I was like, oh my God. And I just fell, Alice, through the looking glass into my camera. And I shot the rest of the shoot, turned it all into the studio, never saw it again, have no idea, which box it's in or whether that box was trashed. Good work, but I'm just saying that who knows whatever became of it, as you had said. But I took all the money I made on that movie and bought cameras and said, I am going to be a unit still photographer.
Oh, that's your big moment. I love that. That's a really good story, actually. I always wanted to work with Nick Nolte too, just quietly.
I've worked with him 3 times. I worked with him on that film, which was Farewell to the King. I worked with him on Tropic Thunder. And I worked with him on The Thin Red Line.
Oh, yes, of course he was in Thin Red Line. I loved Under Fire. When I was a young press photographer, it was kind of like, yeah, go Nick. It's classic.
Yeah.
That's a really good first break. And talking of Tropic Thunder, well, was it as much fun as what this looks with all them, like the boys club?
Yes. No. Okay. So it most certainly was. And no question. The thing is, it was hotter than the dickens. It was muggy. We were in the jungles of Kauai, and really in the jungles. I mean, it took us a long time to get to where we were working. And it was physically exhausting. And you had to wear everything. You had to carry everything. There was no going back to the truck or, whatever. And so physically a hard shoot, but the work that these guys were doing was killing us all. And yet there really kind of wasn't time to laugh. It's like they got to laugh. They got to, but we had to just, we had to just hustle and, sort of nose to the ground and not stick out too much and just kind of let them have the safe place where they could do their ensemble work.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, just brilliant. And again, like I was saying, front row seat, watching some of the best comedians of our time nailing it over and over and over. And what good guys. Really, I just had so much respect for them and really fun.
There must have been a load of ad lib on that too, right?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yes.
Oh my gosh, I'd love to sit there with a bunch of those and just listen, just stay away.
Yeah.
And Oh, it's so cool. Great portrait. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he was, because he was directing and he was the lead, and then there was like he was playing the part of an actor who thought he was in a movie, but it was like there was all these layers. And so again, he had to have all these moments of, even though we were making a comedy, all these moments of like real seriousness. And he's a very serious actor. And that's the other thing. He was funny, but he also wasn't funny. He also was, was acting and focused and serious. And, and again, this was one of those movies that you didn't really just get to sit and hang out with everybody and relax and take some good pictures. You had to be on your toes and quiet and anonymous and fit in with the lights and the C-stands and the boom pole, and just kind of keep your P's and Q's together. But I was able to shoot really everything I wanted to and be everywhere I wanted to be, because I just kept as just, anonymous and in subtle colors, and not hearing my own voice and not demanding attention, or, not like trying to participate, just sort of like being part of the forest. And as such, being given full reign to do my best work. And I'm not saying that this was my best work, but the best work that I was capable of, in the moment. And again, I mean, I love that shot. I have to tell you, Jason, it was really hard to narrow down which shots from Tropic Thunder I would put forward, because there is some just amazingly fascinating shots from that film.
I remember watching it, actually thinking, doing the whole watching the film, looking for the stills, and what you're saying about your ability to, or having the ability to slip into the cracks. That's really important, and I agree with you. It allows you to do some of your best work when you just completely zone out, and people come up to you and start talking to you. It's like, hey, don't talk to me while I'm on set at the moment. When we're off, when there's no camera around, we can chat, but don't get me into trouble.
That's right.
And
exactly.
Yeah, and you're totally in the zone. That was a bit, I've had that a couple of times, and it really shows, because you get intense images like this, that sometimes if it's a little bit too easy, yeah, they might get overlooked a little bit. But you can see what's going on there, that you've grabbed a moment that you almost stole.
Right. Another thing about this, and I don't actually know the exact story of this shot, but it reminds me of something with. Oh, excuse me.
Phone's off on set.
Right. What this reminds me of is sometimes we see what the motion picture camera is getting, and we want that desperately, and we can't get it because where we're standing, there's a great big light or something. So sure, we can do it as a behind the scenes, but we're still looking at the power of what they're getting, and we know we're not there. And so we put on a longer lens, and we punch past the dolly grip's head and past the light, and then we're in on this moment, and it becomes one of our favorite shots. And like, sure, we wish we were wide, and we wish we were standing in front of the motion picture camera with our head blocking the lens, so we're right down the barrel with what they've got. But since that's not an option, we just figure out what is the best shot I can get now. And sometimes things like this come up that you're just so grateful for.
Yeah, it's a lot of power in that frame. That's another thing with you, is you've worked on so many of these beautiful dramas, but people might not realize about how many incredible action films that you've worked on as well. I mean, you've got an eclectic style going on.
I will tell you that I got I got really good for a while of, you know, like people shooting guns, you know, people falling, like the really just these intense action movies. And I was, after a while, I was like, oh my God, can't I just do some little period piece or something? Like my adrenal glands were just exhausted from like being in the war zone. I mean, I really did. I felt like, you know, well, one of the things that I say is that we are embedded, right? Just like an embedded photojournalist in with a troop out, you know, in the military, we are embedded within these groups. And so just, you know, you've just got to be able to do it. And this is something that you people who stereotype might think, you know, oh, a woman couldn't do that, or they might think that somebody of a certain age couldn't do it. And what the truth of the matter is, if you're a good shooter, you see everything. You shoot everything. You think women are beautiful. You think men are beautiful. You think, you know, you think things are dynamic. You think things are soft and lovely. Like you said, you looked at that picture and it made you think of your son, like this, just this subtle moment between a young boy and a young mother. We see it all. We relate to it all. And it's the magic of our profession, Jasin.
Yeah. Regardless of the gender that we are, I think that each gender has its own advantages, and we'll get to that in a minute. I think each gender has its advantages, but having said that, I know that there's a lot of, I get a lot of emails and calls from people the same as what you do, and it's really heartwarming to see how many young girls do want to get into the industry now, but they feel like it's a bit of a boys' club. And I can't answer their questions, not all of them, I should say. But have you got any advice for our young girls that do want to get into it?
Yeah, I have advice for young females, young males, young people of color, old people of color. Ignore the fact that there's any kind of a club, and go and be the best photographer you can be. It is your passport. And I, you know, when I was starting out, I actually don't know what the statistics are, but I do know that there were fairly few women doing unit photography. And I just didn't even go, oh gosh, you know, statistically I'll never make it, or like, oh, I wonder, I was like, no, I have got to do this. I don't have a choice, you know, I've got to be here. And so really I just say, even if you feel that somebody else is not ignoring your gender or your age or your race, ignore it yourself. Be strong and to yourself, and go and do some amazing work. And that's what's going to carry you. It's the work that you do. And just, you know, just dedicate yourself to what is meaningful to you. And that passion will take you where you need to go. And, you know, sure, there's hurdles. I'm sure I could tell stories about the hurdles. And it's like, so what? There were hurdles. There were things that were difficult. There were jobs I didn't get because, so what? I just kept going forward.
Yeah, a great photographer and a great person is always going to get hired. I think that's true there. Oh, come on, Mary. Okay, this is the beginning of my film career, watching all this stuff. This is an extraordinary set. And you were saying before about having the china and the cutlery and all the silverware. That was one of the things that I remembered looking. I can't remember if it was on a documentary or whether it was in the book. It was probably in the book, and just the close-ups of, you know, on the crockery, on the china, you know, that was the exact same. And I went, and so much so that I went to the Titanic exhibition when I was shooting a film in Belfast, and they had, it was just like so cool. So anyway, sorry, it's turning into the Jasin Boland show here. Can you just tell me about this set? Go.
Okay. This set was frigging unimaginable. They built a Titanic that was, I believe, 2/3 to scale. But it was only in one direction because we had to always shoot out to sea. So we were on land at the water's edge, shooting out to sea. And so we would do everything in one direction. So everybody would be running from left to right. And then we would stop, and we would once we completed that, and they would redress everything. And then everybody would run from right to left, and it would look like we had water around us 360 degrees, even to the point where we had to flip the film, and they had outfits with buttons on opposite sides. So when they flipped the film, the continuity was the same on the buttons in the wardrobe. It was a meticulous job. And so you know, saying that it was 2/3 to scale, this was an enormous, I mean, look how small those people are.
Yeah.
And we were in a tank that was 3 acres wide, but in most of it, you could walk. Short people, you know, were walking here. The tall people were walking here, but you could walk through the water. But then at a certain point, it went down, I believe, over 40 feet. I shouldn't state, you know, could have been 80 feet. But anyway, it went down, you know, many, many stories. And this set was on a mechanical gimbal that started like this. And then when they would yell, you know, action, it would start to go like this. And then it would move forward into the water. And then it would come back up out of the water, and it would right itself, and they would dry everything off, and then it would go again. So in this scene, I remember James Cameron saying, this is one of the last movies that will be made where all the extras will be human. The digital age is coming. And he would know because he went on to do Avatar.
Mm-hmm.
So this shot, let me think, where was I? We just had cranes and scaffolding, and I was just up. There's one shot, which this is not it, but where in order to get it, I had to lean over, and I went to the grip department. I said, I need somebody to hold my body. And so 2 grips like held my legs down, and I stuck my body out over the railing and leaned out, and then shot down the side of the ship. And it's weird because I sort of feel like it is this shot, but the perspective's wrong. Anyway, and my stomach muscles were going like this because I'm not an athlete. And I was like, this is shaking the camera, you know, like, you know, I don't know what to do. And I'd be like, and just shooting and shooting. And then again, it was film. So I'd get 36 shots off, and I'd have to go reload my camera or stick a different body that was ready. Crazy times.
Yeah, and and how we used to have to shoot safe with exposure and that, instead of now we can really push our cameras to the limit.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Oh my gosh. When you're going, I'm going to have a really good look. Oh, see, this is the scene for me when it's Jack, right? Is it Jack?
Yeah, Jack.
Yeah, when Jack drifts away. Oh my gosh. She's an extraordinary actress too.
Yeah. Yeah, they were both so amazing and so vulnerable and taking such risks, but she has that British quality of professionalism that she just wasn't. She wasn't finicky. She was focused, but but still like super interactive. And again, not like overly gregarious, but just an absolute pro. I'm not verbalizing this. I'm going to start that again. She is an amazing actress, and would be so, when we were rolling it, she'd be so focused, and then we'd cut, and then she'd be able to just relax and go over and just slip her hand into Leo's hand and just sit for a minute and just sort of be a friend, and then out of friend and into in love, just seamlessly and gorgeously. And she made such a safe place that this young man, young Leonardo DiCaprio, was safe to do just an incredibly honest job, of which he was, more than capable. This shot, this shot and this scene, I remember literally crying while it was happening, to the point where I was worried that I could not tell if my shot was in focus, because this was in the dark, right? It's nighttime, no depth of field at all. And my eyes I'm crying and I can't see through my camera, but I'm still shooting, like just praying that I've got the shot.
It's extraordinary. This was probably the image that kicked me into the wanting to do the Hollywood, actually.
Yeah.
So thank you for the career, Merie.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for being part of the team.
Oh, yeah, right. And look, there she is. I really love this photo.
Thank you. Yeah,
and it's with your Jacobson.
Right, with my Jacobson.
Yeah.
And this is out in Virginia. So this was on the New World. And if I am not mistaken, which I could be, this shot was taken by Terrence Malick's wife.
Well, there you go.
She liked my hat, and she said, "Oh, you look so cute. Let me take your picture." Thank you.
It is a cute shot. And are they bracelets or lens hoods that you're wearing?
You had to wear
They
them.
are.
You couldn't go back and get anything. So yeah, lens hoods. It was funny. I was actually going to put them on as a joke for this interview. And then I thought, oh my gosh, don't take yourself so seriously.
That would have been cool. Well, there's a new line of fashion wear, while we're all out in the world reinventing ourselves at the moment.
Well, I wore those for years, only on set, but for years and years and years, I just, I just put them on. And so I had thin ones and thick ones. But we should get some that say SMPSP on them.
Ooh, now that would be pretty cool, actually. Yeah, there's a lot of jewelry that I've seen out there that they make from old camera bodies, which is really cool. Yeah, I got to get some. Hey, my young friend, I got to say, that was a really enjoyable time. I could listen to you talk forever. And thank you.
Thank you, Jasin. Super fun to hang out with you. Super fun to talk about what we love and to talk about things that, other people don't ask questions because they don't know what questions to ask, So I don't get to show my pictures. I don't get to tell the stories that much. So thank you so much for creating a space where we get to do this. And I want to just really commend you for the idea of doing this, because what you're doing is people don't know what we do for a living. They really don't. And so what you've done is brought something forward where there's the pictures and the story and the context and the value of the product is visible. It's a great shot, but then you just blow life into it in a way that we don't get to see much. So thank you so much for the idea of doing these interviews, and lots of respect.
Thanks, Merie. It's I've had a lot of fun doing it, and I'm going to continue to do them because there's a lot of photographers out there, and there's a lot of great photographers too. Your story is so cool, and I couldn't believe it with the Titanic.
Yeah.
So there you have it.
Perfect.
Thank you so much. Now I'm going to stick you in the green room quickly. I'm going to sign off. Well, team, I told you. Merie Weismiller Wallace. She's got some stories and the reason why I made it my mission to work on big Hollywood movies. So great stuff. I think I'm just going to do this as a one-parter because it's just such a great conversation. So if you can, please subscribe and ding the bell so that you get notified next time we've got another one of these happening. And have a great day. Cheers.